Yeah, I was in my early 20s, and when you're that young and you're meant to be in your prime and you start seeing these problems arise, you become very self-conscious of it. I started looking for things that would help me conceal the hair loss, and that's when I started making really costly trips, like regular trips to America. My best friend Jessica lives there, and in America they've got this store which is basically the equivalent of Boots in the UK, where they sold these grey cover sticks, and they were a bit like a lipstick in the shade of your hair and designed to actually colour in the grey parts. But I used to go and buy their whole supply, knowing that I needed this desperately, because I just went into the store and found it and started trying it on my scalp. But with this product, it was really quite heavy. It was a oil-based product, and what I found was that it made my hair loss worse, although it was amazing and it literally hid everything that I needed it to, and people weren't really noticing. The reality of it was that it made things worse. So that's where the journey started for me. And from that, and that realization of knowing that this product was not good for my scalp, I started looking for things to use. And that's when I came across Fibres. And in the beginning, I was using two brands. There was Nanogen and there was Topic. And I sort of mixed and matched these different brands throughout different months, just based on the availability and when I could get it. And the first few years were amazing, because I think when you have hair loss, having something that hides it just gives you that confidence instantly.
Of course, yeah.
But when you get used to something, it's like anything in life. It's like a car. When you drive a car and it's brand new, the first few weeks you're like, this is amazing. Then 2 weeks in, you start looking at it and you're going,
it's not perfect.
what that? Yeah. It's shaped like that? And you kind of think, no, this is not the same car that I thought I had. And it's the same with using concealers, and especially using things like keratin, because what I found was about 2 years in, I then started noticing the fibres in my hair, and I'd be going to things like restaurants or the beach, and I'd be so paranoid, like I'd be wearing hats and stuff like that. But the biggest thing, I'd go to restaurants really early and I'd scope out the table. So if the booking was at 8 o'clock, I would get there at like 1:45, just to scope out the table to see if there was any like fluorescent lights above me.
Oh wow.
And then I would make sure that I chose the seat that wasn't under a direct light, and I would just be sitting there on my own waiting for people to turn up, and they'd be like, oh, you're here early, and I'm like, yeah, whoa. What a coincidence, I'm just really organised. But in fact it was just my insecurities playing out. So that was the issue that I had, like the fact it was very obvious, and the fact it comes from like animal proteins first of all, like, which is not great. It's also very shard-like in your hair, so you can see why it would look quite unnatural.
Okay, wow, yeah, that's very interesting, and of course I can understand why. But tell me a bit more, from that point, how did you actually end up starting your own brand?
Well, basically, that insecurity that I had for keratin, I wanted to try and iron that out for myself and for other people. If I'm sitting there thinking that I've got these insecurities, the likelihood is there's going to be a lot of other customers using these two brands that have the same insecurities too. So I set out on a journey then for a couple of years, basically testing out different products, different materials, things like that. My objective was to come up with a better formula that alleviated all these insecurities that I had gained from using keratin. And because my objective was to make something better, like, I didn't stop until actually I found a material that really worked for me. And that's where it sort of developed from there. And the journey of starting a business as well was very daunting to me. Yeah. It took me 4 years. So from the start of creating the products and testing them out until when I launched, it was a 4-year period. And that wasn't just like trying out the products. It was actually trying to come to terms and overcome the hurdle that I was facing, which was all my friends and family were oblivious to the fact that I had hair loss. I was so good at hiding it that no one around me even knew. They just assumed that was my natural hairline. So in doing this business and in launching it, I was going to have to be very honest with myself and very honest with the people around me. And it was almost like a second like coming out. So obviously I'd come out of the closet once, but this was, in my mind, a bigger issue. Like, coming out as gay was almost easy. compared to this.
Compared to that, yeah.
Because that's how much like insecurity I'd built up inside myself. Like with being gay, it was just like, oh yeah, I've just now got to go down this avenue because there is no alternative for me. But there was an alternative for me in hair loss, which was hair fibres. So I didn't have to face the issue. I didn't have to be honest about it. So there was a lot of layers I had to peel back and a lot of like healing I had to do myself before I could even get to a stage where I was actually like, okay, this is what I'm doing.